Hello, welcome back. Tonight I will talk about a very special book called Lilith. It is a book that I have written and published on Amazon. There is a link in the description box to my book. There are other books on Lilith, or it is a thematic that it is known. It is nothing, it is not like I invented. It's not, in the same time, it's not necessarily a character. In my book, of course, when I speak about my books, I always call them characters, because, there are characters in my book. I have written different books, different grimoires, different thematics, novels, different type of novels. I even wrote poetry, but at the moment I write either grimoires or different type of stories or novels. And the thematic of Lilith is very interesting. This is a recording part of a playlist where I speak about Lilith. This is a continuation from the other discussions as well. That's why I always advise to listen from the beginning. The element of Lilith, we did speak about many very important, very beautiful presentation or introduction that I have made for Lilith. What I believe or what my mind imaginates as well. My work, for being a writer has to do with fiction. All books are fiction, so it is very much an element of the imagination. And I always like to look at my characters from the historical point, or what is known, or what is shown, or what one can find, to say, it is a research tool that the writer has to do. That has to do with history, or different languages, or different cultures. There is the element of the study of the writer, of his or her subjects, And how I like to do it is from meditation or different parts that my imagination creates or things, or there's that element that I take my intuition or my imagination the way I seem fit. So I found out it brings me to a beautiful place to say, I know the next step, or it gives the writer, of course, a certain type of the decision making aspect of the writer. In the same time, sometimes it is almost like a knowing, when one imagines a character, it's almost like we see it in flash. We imagine, or we can read the personality, or we imagine it, there is the talent of the writer to create symbols or meaning, or, books are very much connected to movies as well, and that the mind of a writer is in a way to connect it to that element of the stage, or the play, or the theater play, or the movie. It is in a way scene by scene, even in books, of course, the story moves through different scenes, or different times, or different aspects. And in the case of Lilith, I would like today to speak about the element of her appearance. I did speak a little bit, but it's always nice to focus a little bit more on those aspects of Lilith, the way she looks. Lilith does have a very strong, very beautiful appearance. And on my cover we have her with black hair, but her almost original color, or the color she's represented most, and I think it's very much Lilith as well, is the color of the red hair. That copper or some reddish, very red hair that Lilith has. Lilith has this long, luscious, beautiful red hair. So it's that element of Lilith too as well. And the element of the crown too is element of Lilith as well. In my cover too, she appears with her crown. Does Lilith wear a crown? Yes, Lilith does wear a crown. It's that element now that she does carry. And the book is a grimoire that tells the story of Lilith, in a fictional way, of course. As I said, I'm a writer, and my thematics are, novels, or part of history, or different ideas that I create and than in novels or some type of stories. So it is the element of the storytelling. That comes very much in the element of the book, no, or books. We say that's the most important element, is the ability of the storytelling and the character. No, say that's the interesting aspect as well. And the beauty of Lilith is very, say, alluring. There's the element of the alluring aspect of her beauty. So, of course, Lilith is very beautiful, and she appears, as I said, in different paintings, in different arts, in different illustrations, where she always appears very, very beautiful. And her skin nowadays, that a pale skin, or the moonlight, or the snows type of skin, it's almost sometimes has, a little blue or a little brown or a little white, this element of very white pale skin, like the pale moon, or silver skin or silver moon. It's that element of the golden too, of course, as well, but there's this contrast, of her skin, which is more like white. So there's this correlation that I was speaking in other recordings too, that the element of the owl is connected with Lilith, the color of the owl. It's always a little discolors. The white lily or the water lily is that white, but sometimes the element of total black or brown or little reddish orange, yellow, white, blue. There's the element of the nature that sometimes Lilith appears like in the sky, in the painting, and it's like the colors around her changes. Sometimes they are more like pale or blue, or that is the element too as well, but always with this red hair, And she wears all of these type of robes, very beautiful long robes, like silk robes, or very long dresses that sometimes it gets hanged in the tree, or her hair is the element of the tree, and Lilith is the same element. The tree is Lilith, and almost the hair is represented as the tree that is in the air, That's the element of Lilith as well. And of course the owl is very connected to the tree. The owl is the element of Lilith. And the environment at the owl, the white owl, so there is a specific owl, but in general the element of the owls. But if we were to imagine somewhere like a white owl in the snow, somewhere north, you say, well, there you see some trees, but they're empty, and then you see this element of the birds, especially the owl, and then you have some type of white snow, that element. Snow sometimes looks grayish, or looks bluish, or looks white and yellowish. It sparks in the sun. It's very much Lilith, the snowflake, all that element of the cold. And then that landscape that moves into the night with the element of the moon, that's very much Lilith. And there's always the element of the wildness, the wild part. So, owl is a wild animal, a wild bird. It's very much Lilith, the element of the wild. Sometimes unexpected, there's the element of uniqueness as well, and of the element of the supernatural. Sometimes she's represented like floating in the air, or hanging somewhere around a tree, or like she's ability to fly. She has the ability to fly. That's what I believe. Lilith can fly. So, Lilith is not human, She's a woman. She has supernatural powers, or she has some special powers. That's what I believe. And so, those powers are possible, They are type of miracles, or type of things that do happen, and we cannot necessarily explain through facts, So, what is a fact and what is true? What is the truth, So, the facts can bring one to the truth, but the truth is not necessarily facts. So, there's a part that is missing. There's something where it goes, but not 100%, So, I think that number one element of Lilith is the element of the wild, of that don't knowing or not knowing, or something very like a landscape that is without humans, just the element of the landscape, that's part of the tree, or the snow, or the trees, and the owl or birds in the air, the element of the sky, and that beauty that is created in that moment by the sun, no? When it shines onto the snow, there's the element of the beautiful lights, shimmering lights. It's very reminds me of the moon, of the silver moon. It looks silver, it looks golden. That's, I said, the two colors of Lilith is on one point silver, one point golden. That's the two elements that combine so beautiful together. So when we have the yellow from the sun and we have the silver, the white color of the snow. And so Lilith does carry those elements. So it is something more rare, more unique. It is something more special. It is, the type of moment. And it is very inspirational. I think Lilith in general is very inspirational. I'd say it is it's almost to say the pleasure of the painter before starting to paint, imagining what he will paint once he sees that in his mind. No, there's the element of the of that interest, of that excitement, or that task too sometimes. So I think Lilith does work on the intellect as well. It is not so well that moment in the snow where we are describing with the sun. No, it may seem just a moment in nature, but Lilith teaches something in that moment as well. It speaks to about the idea of illusion, no? Or what is real or what is not real, or the element of illusion or magic. I will definitely correlate this to Lilith as well. She does have that element of magic in her name as well. So the painters were not wrong when they were painting Lilith in those paintings. They exactly captured Lilith, or those elements that make her, no? So it is, it reminds one the element of the sky, of the blue sky, or something very beautiful. So, of course, I think to Lilith is connected through the water lily very much to the water, to the color blue, no? To the element of the water, of the sea, or the river, of the ocean. That element is very much connected to Lilith as well, where she is represented by the water lily, by that flower. So, water lily is a flower that takes a lot of water. She's very replenished with water. She has a thick green stem, and it's very beautiful, strong petals. And it's very beautiful ovulated or arranged shape of the water lily, and then the openness, that elegant aspect of it. It's a very beautiful flower. It is almost, I could call it a perfect flower, perfect dimension, or symmetry, or harmony, or something like that. It does carry that beauty. And they say, well, of course, the element of water, no? They say the water element is very feminine, so of course, it fits very good to this as well, or another reason that it fits. But at the same time, the element of Lilith is more like the frozen landscape. It's not necessarily the water that has been transformed into snow, into snowflakes, and that connection to the element of the sun, of that warmth as well. Like two very different things come together, like the snow that is cold with the light of the sun, or the warmth of the sun, and there's that beautiful magic. It's almost like a little fire appears, or little sparkles of that. It's one of the most beautiful things. I think I enjoy that very much, no? And I can describe that feeling being very much something like Lilith. That it's the element one can recognize Lilith. And of course it does carry the element of magic. And other aspects of Lilith, so well, her appearance, I have said that she does carry a beautiful strength, a beautiful, almost like confidence or conviction in her beliefs. Lilith has, a strong personality, but it is wrong to say so. Say, well, what is the connection to describe necessarily? Because sometimes when we describe, it takes us away a little from the subject, no? That's why one has to always a little bit go back to the subject, go back to the thematic of Lilith. And one can even think of elements of the childhood. For me, it was like, or places that I have been by myself where I should not really be, and somehow, I felt that moment as being very much Lilith being around me, protecting me or taking care of me in that moment when I was a child, and I didn't know, maybe there was an element of, danger in the same way, but Lilith motivates me to go and have that experience, so I learned something. But it's almost to say, well, there's the element of the protection that Lilith gives, there's the element of the wild aspect of Lilith, to say, yes, of course it's wild, but wild does not mean childish or childlike, or even something that is childish or childlike has its own part of knowledge and beauty, and one should experience it. That's very much Lilith. I say, well, it's almost like the element of the wind with some type of flower that moves. It's very much Lilith. It's almost like the flower moves and that wind, and it captures your attention. Like the element of the snow too, it captures one's attention. That's very much a beautiful aspect of Lilith that I can describe, no? But I do see this, how she's represented in her paintings, and the interpretation, of course, it can be many different things true. It's not to say, it's not necessarily the objective is to speak always the truth, no, it will be impossible. I'm not, I do make mistakes, no, but it's very much Lilith. I say, well, doesn't matter, I learn from my mistakes. The element of, yes, I have mistakes, of course, many, but of course, the element of, almost like ignoring that aspect. So, well, that's very much Lilith. Lilith shows you something else. Lilith shows you something that you can regain that part of you, and that you can do it by yourself. She's very, but I will still say represent her more in the poetic or more feminine aspects, because that I think it's the true Lilith, or what she represents. That's the element of something very beautiful, and it is connected to birds, very different type of birds, not only the owl in German, the oil. It is aspect. In Romanian it is bufnica, the owl. So, that's the main bird of Lilith is the owl, but there are different type of birds. So there are other type of birds too that, or maybe all the birds in that meaning, especially those that fly, are very much connected to Lilith, and the element of the tree as well. I see it always appearing, and in one recording we spoke about the element of the snake always appearing where Lilith is as well. Thank you so much for listening. If you're interested to read the book of Lilith, you can do so. There's a link in the description box below, and if you want to listen to other playlists or other books of mine, there's other links as well in the description box below. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bye.